I'm just kidding. I'm not ready. Guys, let's stop.
All right, scrap this one. We're starting over.
Wait, no, I lied. April Fools.
Dude, coming out halfway through April.
April Fools. Well, technically we're recording this on April 11th, so April 1/1, so it's double the April Fools.
Double April Fools.
Also, they don't say April 1st Fools, they say April Fools, so the whole month you're supposed to be silly.
Ooh, I like that. That's the reframing we need.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, April really needs to rebrand.
Mm-hmm.
No more of this April showers shit. Now it's the silly month.
Yeah, that was the excuse I made when I put all those thumbtacks in my teacher's desk on April 15th.
Was that she'd be showering blood out of her tuchus?
My anus is bleeding.
Well, with that,
wow.
hello and welcome back for the Tough Cut Podcast. And I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jakers.
Jickers.
Wow. And this is episode 102, part 2 of our Alex bracket.
Hey,
Nice.
Hey, April Fool's more like 100 and poo.
That was pretty good. That was a pretty good one. That was you
Thank
got to give
you.
him credit. Come on, Matthew. You got to give him. Matthew. It's his bracket. It's his you got to get. It's his bracket.
Seeing as we are marked as a comedy podcast on all of your favorite podcasting platforms, I'll say that was a
explicit. We are an
great
explicit
joke.
comedy podcast on Apple Podcast.
Yeah. Don't share it with the kids.
Can we release like a joke podcast that's like the not tough but the weenie
Joke
cut?
Rogan. The Joke Rogan podcast.
The weenie cut where we are like not an explicit podcast, like we only say like poo poo pee pee for like 5 hours, see if it lands.
Okay, you get recording that this weekend, 5 hours of poo poo pee pee, and we'll see how it goes.
I bring the pitches to the tough cut. Just the pitches, not the ideas that make it, but the pitches.
Coming at you in today's episode, we've got TMNT 1990 versus Kung Pao Enter the Fist, and then in the second half of the bracket, we've got Princess Bride. In the second half of the bracket, we've got Princess Bride versus
Princess Bride.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, What We Do in the Shadows. So if you listen to our last episode, you definitely heard Matt say 7 Days in Hell. And that's because originally that's the movie I picked, and then I watched it, and I was like, hey, this is not what I remember it being. So I switched.
What else do we call up before we get into the show, boys?
I don't know, just spoilers, I guess, but they don't care about getting these movies spoiled. Look at them. We can see our audience. This is actually one of the rare episodes where we have a live studio audience, and we asked them before, like, do they care about spoilers? And Matthew, they said no, right?
No, but yeah, that's because we actually sat them through a screening of Kung Pao Enter the Fist 3 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
By the end, their brains had melted. Speaking of Kung Pao Enter the Fist,
It's the funniest we've ever been, boys.
silly month.
I took improv classes for this episode, actually, so I think I know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Yes, and Kung Pao Enter the Fist, Alex.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990. Kung Pao Enter the Fist is a movie released in 2002, directed by Steve Odekirk. They took a 1976 Hong Kong karate movie called Savage Killers and then filmed Steve Odekirk over it in front of a green screen and green screened him into the movie, quote, from Google, seamlessly.
That is awesome that they say that, by the way. That is awesome that they say that.
Yeah.
Pitch your movie.
I honestly have a great time with this movie. I watched, well, okay. You guys, I'm sure, have some context here because we've watched this movie together at least once.
Yes.
But why do you think I put this movie in this bracket?
So I'll be straight up with you.
Thank God. We're getting straight up Matthew today. I was really worried.
Sideways with you.
No, not sideways, Matt. No.
No, he's getting silly.
The first time we watched this, dude. I do not remember it very well. We'll put it that
way. Yeah, that's fair.
You kept chanting the name, and I'm like hanging out, and I'm just like, all right, dude.
Was that? Did we have calzones then, or was that?
Yeah, that was calzones.
That was calzones.
Yeah,
those
we
calzones are good.
we had partied that day and started a little bit of drinking at approximately 7 or 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Several jugs of daiquiris.
If they give us on an invite to say party starts at 7 a.m., Matthew and I are nothing but punctual bitches. We had planned outfits. We had everything right there. It's our friend's house, our good friend's house. We're going to show up early, if not
You
on
guys-
time.
You crushed it. You were the life of that party. You showed up and you were ready to party, and that's what we needed on that.
I just will never forget opening the door of that party, and there's sounds of a vacuum going. There's sounds of like people getting ready and getting dressed, and they're like, "What are you guys doing in here?"
Yeah, so that's how the day started, and we watched this movie. Approximately like 14 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember very little of it.
I went to work that day.
I remember that.
Not your only time showing up to work drunk.
Yeah. Dear future employers who possibly listen to this episode, remember, this is a comedy podcast. It's all jokes.
Yeah.
Silly month.
Yeah.
Anyway, so why you like this movie? I don't know. Parodies are fun. It's unique. So I will say, like, it is a creatively unique film, and you're a creative guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I have a selfish reason, personally. I think that you picked this one because it's the movie that can confirm that you've seen with both of us together, and you love us so much, and we're your only friends in your whole wide world, and you wanted to really impress us by saying, we remember this.
So,
I don't like your pause.
I watched this movie with my brother and my dad when I was a small child. Didn't realize that they had taken like a Hong Kong karate film and green screened this guy into it. I just remember thinking it was funny. There were a lot of bits that my brother and I repeated. The same way that Jake has things from Surf's Up and the Muppets that he just says. A lot of the things that my brother and I say come from this movie. And like we didn't realize came from the movie. The reason it has become such a sticking point for me is that freshman year of college, during Mardi Gras, one night I was so tired and so drunk, and my roommate at the time, Perry, was like, "Hey, we just got back from a parade. Let's do something." And I was like, you know what I don't want to do? Watch this movie. And then we did. And it became a tradition that whenever we are too drunk and too tired and just want to go to bed, we watch this movie.
That's amazing. I figured it was some like kind of just like camaraderie. This is such a camaraderie pick. I feel like every person like has a movie where they're just like, I want to show this group of people, and it does help if you're inebriated. And I feel like that was a staple, especially for us in college. Like that was such a let's watch
being
some
inebriated.
Sid.
Is that what you're saying? Oh,
yeah. For you guys, maybe I would never drink.
True.
you guys
comedy
remember
podcast.
Keg Week?
Do I remember Keg
We'll keep
Week?
that one in the pocket, audience, just to entice you a little.
We should have another.
Week
We should order a keg and do a live, like a in-person recording.
I think when we do Solder Day, we should get a keg.
That would be so
Whoa.
sick, dude.
Wait,
That'd
that's
be
a great
wild.
idea. Are you kidding me?
Okay, so yeah, that's why I picked this movie. I think when I revisited in college, I was kind of like, wait, I really like this. This is an actually funny movie. I think it has so many good jokes. I think like Matt, you mentioned, the like creativity behind its production and stuff is so interesting. It's like, as far as I know, fairly unique. And so it like, since revisiting it has always stood out to me as like, oh, this is like a good movie. It's a movie that I have a sentimental attachment from my childhood, and it also means something to me in my adulthood, which has been fun.
That's great. What's it
Yeah.
up against?
Well, what do you guys think of it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
mean,
I thought that was kind of captured by my recollection of the first time I saw it.
he doesn't think of this movie. He experiences it.
No. Getting to like actually rewatch it and remember the jokes. I had a surprising amount of fun with it. Not that I expected it to be
Nice.
bad. It is, I will say, extraordinarily dumb.
Oh yeah.
You don't come into this movie expecting like a highbrow comedy. It is very creative,
Mhm.
but many of the jokes just amount to like we're gonna dub a funny voice over a character from a 1970s Chinese action movie, and it's gonna be hilarious, dude.
Low-key, one of my favorite moments from this movie, watching it this time, that I've always thought was funny, but really stuck out to me this time, is the ventriloquists.
That is a good bit.
Ventriloquists. Yeah, it's very funny.
It's a movie all about bits. I love it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a fun time. I think this is the movie that I have the strongest connection to you in this bracket. So it was a very pleasurable experience going into it again.
Nice. Well, it's going up against the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. This movie, directed by Steve Barron, radioactive ooze mutates 4 sewer turtles into talking, upright walking, crime-fighting ninjas, named after Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, and Leonardo. These little turtles got raised by a big talking rat who was trained by his ninjutsu master. It's a commentary about the immigrant experience in America. It's a commentary about it is for sure. It's a commentary about like the downtrodden. Why you guys think I picked this movie?
Because it's a story about the immigrant experience in America. And because it's a story about the downtrodden. That's you took the reason why I was laughing before is because you took my answer straight from my round. I was like, that's insane. Matthew, what do you think?
Yeah, as a man who champions many social causes, a film that just really takes those on head on, my guy. The downtrodden, get those sewer boys up out of there. Get them affordable housing. Get them medical care.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's sick, dude. I also think that you probably had some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figures as a kid, and you're like,
he's definitely an action figure kid, 100%. That's like big.
And as it seems to be a running theme with every single thing in this bracket, you probably played with said action figures with your brother, and it just like really,
or with his wife, or with his wife.
Statistically, it's more likely to be his brother.
Boo! I'm on the wife trade for this one.
Shots on goal, man. Yeah, and it just like opened your third eye when you watch this, and you're like, it's like my action figures have come to life, and I'm gonna watch this movie once every 5 years for the rest of my life.
Truth be told, I haven't seen this movie since.
Okay,
what a dead stop. I haven't.
Thank God it was a sin. Ooh, thank God it was a sin. He just wanted to capitalize on the Seth Rogen animated movie coming out. He's like, people are gonna want to talk about it. It's all about the buzz.
You know, it's very me to be thinking about, you know, like, oh, what's going to be the best movie to watch for the podcast? No, I haven't seen this movie probably since I was like 6 years old. You're both wrong.
That's surprising.
Even the action figure part?
Even
no action figures. I was not an action figure kid. Fuck the downtrodden.
Damn, this new Alex angle is pretty sick, dude.
So this was a movie that I used to watch on the airplane when my dad had like a little booklet of DVDs, and he would bring a DVD player on the airplane, and we would watch movies. And I remember this one specifically because it had 2 discs. It was too big of a movie, and it came on 2 discs. And so we would have to watch the first part and then put the second part in.
It was too powerful.
This movie was too powerful for one DVD. We had a couple movies that we watched on the plane like this, and this is the one that I ended up picking.
Huh. I love you, my friend. How on my brother in Christ, how the hell am I supposed to know you watched this movie on airplanes when you were 6?
To be fair, that was my second guess. I just really thought he championed Downtrodden.
I mean, hey.
What would you do if we got it right? Like, that's weird, right?
It would have been incredible.
That's a good point. Anyway,
one day it'll be incredible.
Comparing
these
movies.
What'd you guys think of this one first?
Oh, this is a cursed option, man. I don't know what to tell you. This shit mad cursed.
Jake, you're not a fan?
This is just a fever dream for me. This is one of those movies where I'm sure if I watched it when I was a kid, I'd have a more positive, association with it. But now, as an adult, when I see it, I'm like, oh.
Oh, see, for me, it's like, this is a movie that is better than it has any right being. The, like, puppet masks are made by Jim Henson.
Yeah,
they're like
this is true.
animatronic and like are so expressive. This is the first live action adaptation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ever.
Huh.
I really like this one. I think it has like surprisingly deep theming throughout. Stuff about how like fascism preys on the weak and the downtrodden. Like, I think this movie tackles so much more than it has any right to tackle, and I feel like it does a good job with it.
That's because of the great source material. I mean, like TMNT, like they yeah.
I mean, as someone who's studied philosophy, like
I thought you were going to say the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's the same.
Well, that's
sentence.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's the same sentence. Why do you think they're called Michelangelo and shit? No, wait, those are philosophers. Jesus, I'm sure they dabbled in philosophy. They all like did.
We all did.
Wait, why'd you say we?
What? Anyway, so the 2 cents I'll throw out is I agree with you that like the masks look great. The turtles look pretty sick. Some of the action's pretty fun. The thing I just can't shake is, I guess, amidst some of this deeper theming that you're catching, I think a lot of the other writing is just not great. The moment that really stuck with me is April O'Neil being attacked by a group of men with vague Asian accents and her going, "What? Am I behind on my Sony payments?" And it's just like little bits like that just kind of, those really stuck with me as like a, huh.
I'll say those Asian accents aren't great.
I do think that like this movie is just one of the perfect examples where it is just a victim of its time.
Yeah, that's maybe kind of what I'm getting at.
I don't think this ages well. I love the Jim Henson puppeteering. It still doesn't age perfectly well. And you know me, I'm a Henson guy through and through. They look cool, but something about it is still technically Muppets. Still technically like jarring to me.
Wow, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are Muppets in this movie.
Yeah, and that's hard. That's hard for me. That's obviously clashing. But I think that's what bothers me so much about this movie, to where you have something like Kung Pao. I'm gonna start comparing them. Kung Pao Enter the Fist, and it knows that it's like a victim of everything that's happening around it. You know what I mean? Like it's trying to be a victim of its time, where I think TMNT is not trying to, and trying to be something else, and it fails spectacularly. If Kung Fu Enter the Fist,
strong line. I wouldn't say fail spectacularly.
I would. Fuck off. I would.
No. I'm just trying to make my feelings clear. That's all. Because
are you scared of all the TMNT fans that are gonna come for us?
You're gonna give me a major league butt kicking, man. It is really very odd that Kung Pao Enter the Fist is on its face like an extraordinarily racist bits. Like the idea of doing like fake Asian voice, one of the movie's biggest bits.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way it comes off in TMNT, and I'm not trying to say it's like in a like structurally or an inherently racist film. I think it's this idea of like how some of the dialogue and other things have aged. Like, it does it with like a certain degree of earnestness, and it just translates very differently than the way that Kung Pao Enter the Fist does it, which I think is very weird. That like,
yeah, you know how like the Rush Hour movies, people genuinely still beloved them, and if you look back in them now, you're like, holy shit, why are we still laughing at this? Like, this is
highly problematic.
It's pretty problematic on face value, but something about it, people are like, no, that's fine. Like, for some reason, I'm not intelligent enough to, I guess, articulate the exact mode. I think that's the feeling, at least I get, with Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
The earnestness is that TMNT is taking itself seriously in those moments, and Kung Pao Enter the Fist is, like, inherently making light of a lot of these things in a way that's, like, they're not the butt of the joke, basically.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I think it's fair to say, like, you know, to be fair, we're two white guys and a mixed guy who was not mixed with anything of Asian descent. So there could be people who watch Kung Pao Over the Fist and are still like, no, that's awful.
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
that's
certainly.
very, very fair.
Something I think is wild in TMNT though is that like they fucking astrally project.
Yeah.
Like they like fucking summon Splinter from the spectral realm.
Part of me
That's
always
crazy.
felt like,
I
is
never
that a
did
power
that with my
they have?
TMNT action figure.
Or is that Splinter?
Or is that
Is that
Splinter?
Splinter reaching out?
Is that Splinter, like, you
It's
know?
tough.
Because I feel like, I don't know, I'd do anything for that fucking rat.
I mean, to be fair, the Chosen One does the same thing with Mushu Fasa.
And that's true. Honestly, these films don't have that many similar plot elements.
It's pretty much the same movie. You know that saying that there's only like 3 stories in the world or some shit?
Yeah.
This is one of them.
This is one of them.
Which of these movies do you guys think has better action sequences?
Low key, Kung Pao Enter the Fist, I think is my take.
I think so too. It's got unique fights, you know, because the majority of them are animated into existing fight scenes. So it's like they have to adjust for what is already in the movie, which just makes it so interesting.
This like I brought it up like in a media and talking about Kung Pao Enter the Fist. This idea of like it is a very creative film in terms of the medium it attempts to tackle, of like green screening into an existing film. So you're essentially like reworking a pre-existing plot to fit the movie you're trying to make, which is wild. And to this point you're getting at of like reworking existing action scenes and making them still be like competent action scenes is really fascinating. And so many of the fight
takes a lot
scenes
of work, yeah.
become less about just like, I'm going to beat this guy up, and more about like, there's like a thing I've got to do while I do that, like pulling off the little iron pyramids to like take away his power, or, you know, you fucking squirt out all the stuff from the cow to make it die. Like, you know, I don't know. Like that sort of stuff is very wild. Not to say that the TMNT action scenes are horrible. I think they're generally pretty fun. And Shredder was going to kill them at the end, and that was.
And again,
Turtle
spoilers.
power.
Get wrecked, live studio audience. At the end of the day, though, we got to talk about Alex here, and we got to vote on behalf of what is the more Alex movie. And I think
So
that's,
do it.
That's kind of like
So do
where,
it.
So do it.
So do it.
Do it.
I feel like we talked about nothing, but that's okay.
I feel like you always say that, and I always feel like that's like not true. I feel like
I
what
don't
your
know.
version of talking about
I'm so
nothing is
high-minded about what I want to accomplish.
yeah, you're just like, oh, we have to, like, if we don't portray this, like, 80 paragraph fucking, I don't know why I went 80 paragraph paper, but whatever.
If
it's
he
fine.
doesn't talk about Aristotelian philosophy,
You brought up the word philosophy. That should be enough for you to, like, say that we
Okay,
talked
okay,
about
go
something.
ahead,
Jesus
vote.
Christ. Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Next.
I can take it from here. I am also going to vote for Kung Pao Enter the Fist. I think for me, you know, as I said up top, I had no way to know that TMNT, it was the movie you watched as a kid on airplanes, but Kung Pao Enter the Fist, I have like a real attachment associated with you to this movie personally, but then also like, I do think there is something to this idea of like creative comedy is something that really resonates with me in terms of like my vision of you, Alex. Like you are a comedian that I've always looked up to in a lot of ways. So,
And that's everything I was going to say, but I knew Matthew would cover it, so.
yeah,
Wow.
I mean, you texted me that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's already moving on, and I have fond memories of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I think I also need to vote for Kung Pao Enter the Fist here.
Damn,
I have
dude.
a stronger attachment to it now, and so I think that is, you know, something that's important to
You're
me.
killing
But
your inner child. I think that's beautiful.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist, I feel like still
Still gets that. Still itches. Scratches that itch. Not itches that scratch.
it itches my scratch. But it's going again. There are 2 other movies in this episode that we got to talk about. One of them is The Princess Bride, released in 1987, directed by Rob Reiner. It's the story about Fred Savage, and he's pretty sick, and his grandpa comes and reads him a story from his childhood, and it's a fairy tale adventure about a beautiful love story and revenge and political intrigue. Yeah. What you guys think of this one? Or why you think I picked it? And then also what you think of it.
I love that you love fantasy stuff. I think it's like a really great genre that, you know, I don't think we've had. We've had like one kind of really fantasy on this, and it's been Lord of the Rings on this podcast primarily. And that's great and all, but I think there is such like the genre is expansive, and there's such like just genuine fun examples of it, and this is definitely one of them. So I think that this is just one of those timeless things. I think you were on a plane when you were 6, and I think
he's a hero for the downtrodden.
he
and
was a
his
hero
wife
for the
and brother
downtrodden.
both liked
His
it.
wife and brother both liked it. And did I cover all my bases?
I think for me, The Princess Bride is a movie that makes me feel very good.
Mm-hmm. Feel good movie.
Yeah, it's a feel good movie that is like funny and heartwarming, and in a lot of ways, those are things I associate with you, Alex. You are just like a very positive person to be around. Like, you make me feel better about me. I think you are a very funny, heartwarming person. I don't think that you picked a movie to put in your own bracket because other people will make it, like, it'll make other people think of you. So I'm sure it is something to do with like one of the relationships that matters a lot in your life. Thus far, the running theme has been your brother and, albeit one time, your wife.
You're getting more and more broad. You know, he's just covered all of his bases. Like he, like literally,
the downtrodden,
just, like,
the getting.
Yeah, Matt, I can't believe you just covered all your bases, and that's the only thing you said for this.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Thank you.
Honestly, I just like this movie a lot. I watched it a lot as a kid, not really specifically with anyone. It's just always been kind of a favorite of mine.
Damn, even covering our bases got it wrong.
I kind of was right. I'll say it. I kind of was right.
Truth be told, I just kind of think this is like, honestly, one of the best movies ever made.
Wow.
I like really love it. I think it's so funny. I think it is, you know, like a good love story. It's a nice rom-com. It's like a good action movie. I think it's one of the best depictions of revenge in any film. It's like I feel like movies don't do this anymore where it's a story of revenge, but rather than the character who's like out for revenge, like learning something new and then forgiving the person in the end, like, no, like Inigo gets his revenge and it's good and it like is satisfying. And I feel like that's so rare in stories nowadays. Yeah. But what do you guys think of this movie?
I love this movie. It's amazing.
You know, I realized I had an epiphany upon watching this movie. To my knowledge, this is, you know, based on Jake memory, I don't think I've ever seen this movie all the way through.
What? That's crazy.
I just feel it. Maybe, look, and this isn't, I'm not trying to knock on this movie because, spoiler alert, I did really enjoy it. But I guess maybe it wasn't memorable for me. I remember vividly the first like 30, 40 minutes to a T. When it got to the back half, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, do I not remember this? I remember everything up to the fire swamp. Then it's like kaput. And I was like, I didn't remember it. And I'm like, what? I swear I've seen The Princess Bride out of all movies. Are you kidding me? I remember loving The Princess Bride. I often, when people talk about it, I'm like, that's a good movie. I only remember the first 30 minutes when I was growing up. I've seen it all now, you know?
Wow. But
like, it blew my mind where I was watching. I was like, have I never seen it? And part of me is like, no, there's no way. Maybe when I was a kid and I'm just, you know, growing older and, you know, time marches forward and I can't march backwards. So, like, you know, I'm inevitably going to the void. But, like, you know, it was wild to me. I enjoyed it. There are some things where I was like, holy shit. I don't remember it in this context, sort of a deal. Some lines sticking out to me. Some things, a lot of just funny bits. Again, the second half felt new to me, so I laughed a lot at those bits because they felt new.
So fun.
Nice.
But then I had like this awful revelation where I realized the real reason Alex picked this movie. And it's because it was for Matthew. It was for Matthew because Wesley, the actor who plays him, is Dr. Lawrence in the Saw movies. It's because he wanted to trigger an experience.
Well. Jake, you walked right into my genius trap.
Oh,
Dr.
no.
Gordon.
Oh, no.
Oh, a film that came out, what, 15 years before the first Saw? And it's all to be revealed that it builds up to this one moment where the Princess Bride would be my transition into talking about Saw. Oh.
That's basically the logic the Saw movies make, though. Like, it's like the same.
And Dr. Gordon was helping me the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yes. Yeah, no, that is
No, it just blew my mind.
Fact.
Because I looked up all the actors, like, after this, just to see, like, you know, like, I don't know, what they were doing.
Oh, shit. You know what I forgot to mention for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Rip? The lead, like, kid gang member in Shredder's gang is Sam Rockwell.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
Damn. Okay. If I would have known that, I would have voted the other way. You know I'm a big rockhead.
But with all that said, Princess Bride is not alone in the second half here. It is going up against What We Do in the Shadows.
Damn.
The 2014 New Zealand mockumentary horror comedy film directed by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement. It follows the adventures of 5 vampires living in a house in New Zealand. They're roommates, and they're getting ready for the undead ball. This is like such a good, funny slice of life movie. They, of course, made it into a TV show.
Mm-hmm. Great TV show as well.
Yeah, great TV show. Why do you guys think I swapped my pick for this movie?
I have another just personal connection with this with you. This is just one of the, I think this is one of the first from like a comedy perspective that we like bonded over, like this type of, you know, Fly the Conchord, What We Do in the Shadow, basically the New Zealand comedy scene, I guess. Because, you know, there's not a lot of...
Why the hell are they so funny over there?
They're
what
so
the heck?
Fucking hilarious
so
over
good.
there. And I think this is one of the first things we bonded over. You know, we would write about this stuff, like we would like talk about it. I think this is like, for me, encapsulates a lot of how I see your comedic voice. So that's how I'm leading into it.
Yeah, admittedly, I do not have the same immediate connection. Like, it was not...
Thanks for admitting
I didn't... Well, yeah, of course. I'm only ever honest.
Remember, this isn't a visual medium, so the sly look you gave to me is just for me.
That's true. And now that you told everyone. But there is
Dr.
something...
Gordon, come on out.
No! Game
He
over.
was helping the whole time. I mean, that would be dumb if that was the twist.
Why do I feel like that's the twist in
That's
several
the
Saw
twist.
movies?
Who knows? But this idea of this film encapsulating some piece of your comedic voice, there's a lot of this that reads like they were, I don't want to say disjointed sketches, but like transitioning from like scene to scene. A lot of them are structured around a particular comedic bit, and that like sketch writing process or that sketch process is something I associate very, very heavily. You, Alex, like, you are tremendously funny. This is a tremendously funny movie. It holds a lot of those elements. I'm sure this was a film that you just think is very funny and like one that you like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is a movie that I think is very funny. I picked it largely because I saw it for the first time when I was considering doing comedy for real for the first time. And so It was like a big inspiration there. Yeah.
Big Jake.
And so then...
I take it. I take that.
And then, you know, bonding with Jake about this movie and comedy in general, and Matt as well. So...
Yeah.
We'll always have the Kool-Aid man, Matthew.
No, it's okay, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure we've talked about it a little bit. So, honestly, hey, let's just dive right in.
Well, okay, so here's my issue with this matchup and just with What We Do in the Shadows in general existing. I fucking love this movie. This is like a top tier movie, and I need to separate my love for it, just genuinely thinking like it's a fantastic movie, and just think, what is the most Alex movie? This is the one I'm going to struggle the most with.
This
with
is a
being
hard
like,
matchup.
I need to separate my own feelings for What We Do in the Shadows, and also like need to know like this is the Alex bracket. This is like where my crisis goes.
I think for me, it's even especially hard looking through that lens of just like Alex movies. To me, they both represent very important pieces of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doing comedy for real idea, essentially in one way or another, just like I planned for Dr. Gordon to be brought up in this episode. One way or another, like, led to the three of us doing this show, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like comedy is such an important piece of like the way that I see you as a person, but just as well, The Princess Bride is so fundamentally like a heartwarming and just like pleasant thing.
Yeah, and that's Alex in a nutshell, genuinely.
Yeah,
Like
I associate so much of that with you as well, so it makes it so tough.
And I do remember that one time, Matthew, I don't know if you remember this, where you got stabbed in the chest. You got stabbed in the chest, and Alex turned to you, and we totally could have stopped the, muggers. We totally could stop them. He turned to you, and he said, there's a shortage of perfect breasts in the world. It'd be a shame if those were... I'm sorry, that was the most crazy line to come out of The Princess Bride. And that was in the second half, so it felt new to me. I might have heard it before, but it felt very new to me. And I was like, holy hell, that is insane. And I kind of love the line. Anyway, I just need to get that out.
Here's my thing about The Princess Bride. Because I didn't remember until I rewatched it this time how much of a comedy it is. Like, it's a really funny movie. I, of course, always remembered it for, like, the love story. I remember it for, like, the fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny. Like, Wesley in the end, like, being unable to move and, like, paralyzed, and he's, like, rolling his head around every time he has to talk to someone is so funny. Billy Crystal is in this movie and is, like, funny and not cheesy, Like, it's good. It's just a really good movie.
My favorite part, like the funniest, I laughed out loud, was when she pushed him down the hill. She pushed Wesley down the hill. And he's like, as you wish. And she's like, oh God. And so she just yeets herself.
Just dives.
She yeets herself off the hill. No heroic dive. No, she tumbles in the same exact way as if she got pushed. And I just like, that is so stupid. That is so hilarious. I loved I was like, what did she do? She could have paralyzed herself or something. So wild to me.
It's so good. It has like the best sword fight ever. The scene between Wesley and Inigo Montoya on top of the cliff.
Love that scene.
So
I just love the beginning of this film because I don't hate the second half of the film. I overall enjoy this film. I think the part that bothered me is that all of a sudden I like started to realize like things where like it kind of like took me out of it with like the Princess Bride. She like all of a sudden upon learning that he is Wesley, all of a sudden she just becomes like almost like useless. Like she was like fighting off, she was swimming away, she was pushing people, she was talking her shit. And then like in the fire swamp, she just like he gets attacked by those rodents of unusual size, hilarious by the way. And she just like stands there. And then she gets a tree branch and I thought she was gonna hit it. She just like rustles its teeth. And then he has to do like everything. And then the whole other time she's like, he's going to save me. It's like, watch it. And I get how it's classic fantasy and all stuff. It just like started to like piss me off how much she did it. And for that, I think the second half just like took it out for me. I love the revenge stuff with Inigo. I was so happy with when he and was it Physic or what's the Andre the Giant? I get their names mixed. Fezzik. Love those characters so much. They're so amazing. They're so sweet. But I just think something about that took it out of me in that second half. And so maybe like that's the reason. Because the first half, I love it. No notes. Great.
See, for me, I think it's like what I really like about Buttercup's story is the first half of the movie, she is like dejected, depressed. Like, yes, she tries to escape, but it's always like very, I don't know, like there's no light in her. Right? Like it's cold, right? And then she finds out Wesley's alive and it's like there's a burning passion in her. And like, yeah, she's not like fighting necessarily, but she's like, you can tell by the way that she talks that she has like this defiance in her that I really like. But talking about what we do in the shadows, honestly, I think my favorite part of this movie, and I'm interested to see what you guys think too, is what would your vampire outfits be? Because I think theirs are all really good.
I'm going just like naked because who's going to challenge me? I always think that like if I'm an immortal being, like if I genuinely can't die or can't, and I'm powerful too, like I can probably get out of the way of the authorities easily. Who's going to challenge me? No one. Maybe with Birkenstocks. That seems more Jake. So nude Birkenstocks.
I've seen that exact outfit several times, I feel like.
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't need to be a vampire to show that one off to us.
As far as you guys know.
I feel like I would do similar to what's the character's name? Nick? I would do like a Nick, and I'd be wearing like a Freddie Mercury jacket kind of thing.
It's good. I'm sure my style would change over time. I would be stealing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like Laszlo from the TV show version.
Camp Laszlo? From Camp Laszlo?
He'd wear a little camper outfit.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, that's where my brain went. Look, we got to talk about what's the more Alex here, because I'm genuinely torn with it, and we got to vote here very soon.
Well, Alex, how do you make heads or tails of these?
It's pretty tough. What We Do in the Shadows is a movie that like came to me at a very specific time in my life, and it really resonated with me. But I think The Princess Bride's kind of in the opposite way is a movie that I've always had, and every time I revisit it, there's like something new in there that really stands out to me.
It does feel timeless for you, and that's like a really beautiful thing. And I love those movies where you watch them when you're younger, and then you watch them when you're a little older, and then a little older, and then a little, like, there's something really magical about that.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that.
I think it represents a lot of, I guess, like you've kind of mentioned, Matt, like how I portray myself of like kind, heartfelt, like heart on my sleeve. But I think it also has like those comedy elements that I think aren't. I don't think I would have realized, or I've never realized before how funny this movie is until I've watched it now that I am like at this point in my life, right? Yeah, I don't know. But at the same time, What We Do in the Shadows is so funny. I've been trying so hard to write some sort of vampire comedy thing, and I watch this movie, and every time I'm like, God, I just want to write this, but it already exists. It makes me angry.
But they're still going. They need writers, you know?
Yeah.
TV show rules.
But I think we're at that point. So, Matt, you are cursed.
Yeah, it is you this time. Yeah, that is true.
That's true. I think I'm going to vote for The Princess Bride.
And I'm going to just make it difficult on you and do What We Do in the Shadows.
Between your children. Choose between
Yeah.
your children.
Oh, this is so hard. I'm voting for...
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's so hard.
Take 10 seconds. Matthew, say our sponsor.
Thank you so much to...
Okay, we're out of time. So, Alex, what do you want to vote for?
I'm gonna vote for... I'm rolling dice. Princess Bride. I'm voting for Princess Bride here. Truly could have gone either way. It actually came down to fate. So with that, next episode, we've got Kung Pao Enter the Fist versus The Princess Bride. Two movies that have been with me for most of my life.
And then Shrek versus Jurassic Park. So lots of fun. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to follow us on social media at Tough Cut Pod. If you liked it, you should share it with...
a giant that you know.
Share it with the largest person you know. The largest person you know.
Follow us on social media at Tough Cut Pod. We're on all of your favorites. Follow us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Rate and review the show. All that jazz.
Jake, what do we say at the end?
Oh, scuba my fish.
I hate it. I hate it.
Well, we say it. We cut it every time, so it's probably not going to make this episode.